Today we're going to be working on multiplying fractions. Our goal is to find products of expressions involving two fractions. So today we're going to review multiplying fraction. In previous tutorials we've done this by building models, using number lines. Today we're going to work numerically to do that. So for any numbers A, B, C, and D, of course A, B, C, and D representing any numbers, A over B times C over D equals A times C over B times D. In other words, when you're multiplying fractions, unlike when you're adding and subtracting, you just multiply across and multiply the bottoms. In previous activities, we've built models to show why the answers are what they are and how they work. So if you want, you can go back to those and review other ways of multiplying fractions. But today, again, we're going to work numerically. Looking at our first example, find the value. 1/2 times 2/3. So our first step is to, of course, write the problem, which is written for us. Then we're going to find the products of the numerators and the denominators. So that would be 1 over 2 times 2 over 3. And I like to make one big long fraction so that I don't get anything mixed up. So now I multiply those and I get 2, 6. And then I need to simplify if necessary. Well, 2, 6, I can see they're both even, so they can both be divided by 2. So when I reduce 2, 6, I of course get 1/3. So 1/2 times 2/3 is 1/3. So that's the most simplest way of multiplying numerically. Looking at another way, using this method means the fraction will not need to be simplified after multiplying. So same thing, step 1, write the problem, which I have done for you. Step 2, find a common factor of one numerator and one denominator. So when I look at 1/8 times 4/7, I have a factor of 4. So I can factor out a 4 from the 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And factor out a 4 from the 8. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So now that I've done that, I can repeat, of course, numerators and denominators to find more common factors if necessary, but in this case I don't have anything else. In other words, I can't reduce it anymore right now. Then you find the products of the numerators and denominators. So 1 times 1 over 2 times 7, which gives me 1/14. And notice how 1/14 is in simplest form. Something to really keep in the back of your mind when you are using cross products, or cross canceling it's also known as. Make sure that you are only finding a common factor between a numerator and a denominator. For example, if this was 1/8 times 1/4, you would not be able to find a common factor between the numerators and the denominators. So the answer, of course, would be just to multiply the tops and multiply the bottoms. You can only factor it out if you have a numerator, or one in the top, and a denominator that you can factor out something. Moving on, let's look at another example. Samay had 1 3/8 cup of yogurt. He put 4/9 of the yogurt into a smoothie. What fraction of a cup of yogurt did he use in his smoothie? So again, that word "of" is a really good hint that we're dealing with multiplication of fractions. So we have 4/9 of 1 3/8. And we write that as 4/9 times 1 3/8. So when you have fractions like this, I know it can be tempting to multiply 4/9 times 1 and then 4/9 times 3/8. really good step to remember is to instead change any mixed numbers into improper fractions. So we have 4/9 times, and of course to do that we multiply, then add 8 times 1 plus 3, which is 11/8. And then again, find any common factors between the numerator and the denominator. So I can see that I do have common factor again of 4. So that gives us 4 divided by 4, which is 1, 8 divided by 4, which is 2. And between 9 and 11, I don't have any. So now I can just multiply 1 times 11 over 9 times 2, which gives me 11/18. And so now I have this in simplest form. So he used 11/18 of a cup of yogurt. Moving on. Now I want you to try using different methods in order to find each product. Go ahead and take a minute to answer all of these in simplest form. So go ahead and take a moment to pause this video, change any mixed numbers to improper fractions, including the 2. Here's a hint, 2 as an improper fraction is 2/1. So go ahead and take a minute to pause and write down all the problems and solve them. So we'll go ahead and check these next time in class. Now I want you to take a minute to review your notes. Notice how I didn't write the guided practice problems on my notes. You can have that on a separate sheet of paper if you choose, or you can have it on the second page of your notes if you need to. So make sure you have all the important steps written down. You have all the important information that you need. Go ahead and take a minute to pause and review your notes. So today we focused on multiplying fractions. Fractions represent pieces of a whole, and oftentimes when you multiply fractions, you actually get a smaller number than you began with. So make sure that you're always double checking your work. Great job today taking notes, and make sure that you look at the other tutorial on multiplying fractions with models to validate your results and to show why these work in different contexts. So great job today. After your homework is done, have some outdoor fun, rain or shine, you'll have an amazing time. Just make sure you dress appropriately. So again, great job today.